I have made over 100 Last Day on Earth videos, and even though I have not covered the game in the last 4 months, I still have the best tutorials on many aspects of the game. My main frustration with the game was the lack of multiplayer, but now that they have finally added it to the game, I realized that one of 3 things would have to change for me to come back to the game. Last Day on Earth was the original game of this channel, and the only game that I covered until I had over 10,000 subscribers. I've said in the past that I would never stop covering it, and while that can still be partially true, as I do stay current with every update and mention it in my videos about other games, one of 3 things would have to happen for me to cover the game again. Before I get into those 3 things that would have to happen, let me address 2 rumors that many of you believe are the reason that I quit, and are in fact not the reason. The first rumor is that I quit because the game is too pay to play. This is not true. While I have given Kafir a hard time for making their game extremely pay to play, and strongly believe that their aggressive monetization system has plateaued much of their exponential growth that they were experiencing when I started the game 4 years ago. In fact, I still remember when I first started the game, I was so impressed that I reached out to Kafir asking them if I could invest in their company. This was before I was a YouTuber, and they were not interested, but I knew from the first 2 days of playing the game that it was going to explode. And it did. And then around October or November of 2017, they changed their approach to the game, which slowly started to deteriorate the hope that hardcore gamers had in what the game could eventually become. Now, I know that they were having some technical difficulties, but it still makes me sad because I believe that they were on track to becoming the next Supercell, and if they were able to do with Last Day on Earth back then what they are doing now with Frostborn, I think they would have become the next Epic Games. The gaming world is starving for good mobile games, which is why I think that it did so well in the beginning. But even in all those frustrations and dashed hopes for the game, this is not the reason I quit covering the game. Some of you will be surprised to find out that I'm not actually bothered by pay-to-play games. It's their game, so they can charge anything they want for whatever they want. I just think they missed why their game was exploding so much in the first place. So that is not why I quit Last Day on Earth on this channel. The second rumor is that I stopped because of seasons. This is also not true. I know a lot of you guys are frustrated about seasons and wish they could go back to their old way of developing the game, but in my opinion, seasons are good for both developers and YouTubers because they add structure to the development of the game. There's always new things to cover, and more importantly, there is a focus on what we should be covering or talking about during that season. Now, I will admit that some of the seasons have been really bad updates, and of course I don't like bad updates, but there has also been some seasons that are really good, bringing forth fun new ideas and more importantly, permanent content. This latest update with the PvP and customizable apartments is awesome. In fact, what a great way to add purchases in the game where people can come visit your apartment, thus rewarding those that support the devs by getting to show off their purchases. This reminds me of skins in other games, and I love it. I hope the devs add more permanent content like they did in this last update. This brings us to the first thing that, if it changed, could bring me back to Last Day on Earth. I would like to see more permanent content, but maybe not in the way you're thinking, because this actually has 2 sides. The first one is what most people would expect, and that is it's something added to the game that will stay in the game. As a tutorial channel, I make tutorials on the most efficient way to do things in the game. So if something is only going to be there for a month, then it doesn't really feel worth it to me to spend 8 hours making a video that will only be useful for a month, much less one that takes 100 hours to make. Now, if Last Day on Earth were doing better on YouTube like it was when it first started, then maybe the extra views would make it worth it. But as of right now, it's not even close. But the other and more important side of this is that even when they do add permanent content, often when I present the most efficient way to do that event, the devs will deem it as economy breaking and will change the event so that that tutorial no longer applies. This is my biggest frustration when I think about permanent content in Last Day on Earth. There are games out there that the gamers figure out how to beat in 8 minutes when it was supposed to take 100 hours. And the developers don't create update after update just trying to fix every little loophole the gamers find. The fact that an experienced gamer would be able to do something 4 times or even 10 times more efficient as a new player, to me is a sign of a dynamic game. Yet it feels like Kafir wants to cut all of those things out. This not only makes my videos out of date, but it leaves the game feeling more stale with only 1 or 2 ways of of doing something. And that is the real rub for me in this category. Even though there's a lot more content, Last Day on Earth feels less dynamic and less of a sandbox game than it did when I started almost 4 years ago. The second thing that, if changed, might bring me back to Last Day on Earth is more dynamic and integrated multiplayer. Honestly, if this last update happened a year ago, I would be talking about it very differently. This newest update is awesome. They implemented some of the best aspects of Frostborn PvP, like hiding in bushes and putting their timer on a loot, utilizing active skills to gain advantages over people, and it's so fun to be able to do all of that with a modern theme. But even as amazing as this update is, it is still just a fraction of what Kafir has been able to do with Frostborn. Imagine the potential of Last Day on Earth to have a teammate protect you with his shield while you shoot a grenade launcher over his shoulder, or have a teammate using cloaking technology to sneak up on bush campers. This is the potential of Last Day on Earth, and I'm so excited that the devs have made their first step towards it with this last update, but I think they would need to be a little bit more advanced to justify me covering it, since all of those things I just mentioned are functionally already in Frostborn. And it would be nice if it was a little bit more integrated. Multiplayer was originally designed to be integrated throughout the whole game. That is why within 30 seconds of the first time you enter a zone in the game, an AI player comes and attacks you. It is to give you a taste of the potential of the game type that already exists in Frostborn. Multiplayer is integrated throughout all of it. Now lately that has been jeopardized a little bit because the devs are trying to cut out trading, which goes back to that idea of Kafir cutting out the dynamic sandbox elements of their game. But even with those hiccups, Frostborn, which has only been out for a few months, is 10 times more advanced than Last Day on Earth in this area. But the main thing that I would like to see change for me to start covering Last Day on Earth again actually has nothing to do with the game. It does not affect any of you guys, but is rather related to how Kafir interacts with me. In fact, I've actually never stopped trying to cover Last Day on Earth. It was never my plan to stop, but at some point during seasons, the devs decided that we would no longer be able to pre-record our videos during the alpha section of updates. So while I still get access to updates early, I cannot make videos about those updates until they release. This is the #1 reason I have stopped covering Last Day on Earth, because since I do not know when they are going to post an update, by the time that I find out the update has been released, allot the at least 6 hours to make a video on it and then release that video. One of the most common comments I get on those videos is, "This video is late." And YouTube agrees with those comments, thinking that because I posted so much later than other people, that I am just copying them, when in fact I started at the same time. Not allowing us to pre-record videos means that whoever can produce their video first wins, which is an anti-quality system set up by YouTube. Now, YouTube eventually makes quality win over time, which is why many of my videos have hundreds of thousands of views, but that points back to the issue I mentioned about permanent content and my videos becoming out of date before they get to that size. Now, I used to do this rush to get videos out before I became a partner. It was stressful and often created anxiety, but I was a new YouTube channel with lots of excitement, and Last Day on Earth was doing better on YouTube, which made the motivation greater. So while it is the biggest factor, it is not the only factor. The truth is that if any one of these factors were able to change dramatically, I would probably be able to cover Last Day on Earth again, at least at some level. It is the original game of this channel, and it will always have a special place in my heart. I'm not 100% sure that the devs would even want me back. I've definitely given them a hard time on some of the things that they've done, and I imagine some of them might be happy to see me move on. But if they do want me back, then one of these things will have to change. On that note, I've been wondering whether or not YouTube gaming is actually the best fit for this channel. I still believe in mobile gaming, but a lot of new mobile games like Kafir's games are constantly changing, making it difficult to have a perfect video for that game stay a perfect video for that game. So I'm currently working on a tips and tricks video for a subject outside of mobile gaming that will not only stay permanently relevant, but might also appeal to a wider audience. So I'm going to try out that one video and see how it goes. When I finish, I will put a link to it here, and I hope you guys check it out. So that's it, guys. Last Day on Earth. I love you, and I love the community. Thank you for all the great memories that you have given me. You will always be in my heart. But until things change between us, I'll see you next time.